Now we have Adelicia from the FCOI and Export Control, and what other office are you in? Industrial Security. Speaking about financial conflicts of interest.
Hi everyone. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm Adelicia Gunn, and I am the Program Specialist in Financial Conflicts of Interest and also Export Controls on UNM main campus. So today I'm going to talk to you about both programs. The first one that I'm going to get started with is Financial Conflicts of Interest. So the first question I'm going to ask is, how many people in this room have already submitted their Financial Conflicts of Interest disclosure? Okay, good. So the reason why we have to submit financial conflicts of interest disclosures are because it's required by law that any investigator working on a federally funded project has to submit any interest that's related to their work on their research protocols. It's also in the UNM faculty handbook, and it's faculty policy E110 if you want to look at it. And so this describes any financial conflict of interest as a situation associated with an investigator's participation in UNM research activities where that investigator's significant financial interest could directly or significantly affect the design, conduct, or reporting of UNM research activities, or the investigator's situation could directly or significantly compromise his or her primary allegiance to the institution. So, conflicts of interest are inevitable in the modern research arena. They're actually a good thing. You know, when you think of conflicts, it kind of has a negative connotation. However, these are the types of situations that we want to occur. So we want our investigators to take a technology that they develop here and then go through STC and have a spin-off company and then start hiring, students to work in their company, and bringing royalty money into the institution, and also being a voice in the community. So these are situations that we want to occur, and we want to foster them because they show that we're doing our job at the institution. However, what we need to do is manage financial conflicts of interest. So it's not a big deal if you have one. It's great if you do, but we need to disclose it and then appropriately manage it if it needs to be managed. So, disclosure requirements are required for anyone who's doing sponsored research, human subject research, so you're submitting a protocol to the IRB, animal subject research, or research funded by a formal award to UNM based on submission of a proposal. So that's a RAC award, so a Research Allocation Committee. So who must disclose? So any person who is responsible for the design, conduct, or reporting of UNM research activities. So if you have someone collecting data, yes, they have to disclose. If you have a really big project and you need someone to answer the phones, that person wouldn't have to disclose. If you have participants in your program, those people would not have to disclose. They're not considered part of the research team. Those are some questions that I often get. So also the principal investigator, co-PI, faculty, staff, students, non-UNM consultants, and then also our cleared people who have clearances, faculty and students, they are required to disclose any financial conflicts of interest.
Just clarification, what do you mean by cleared?
Cleared, they have a security clearance.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Which we will talk about in a little bit. Okay. So when you're making a disclosure, you have to think about what are disclosable interests related to my research. So interests related to an investigator's research have subject matter overlap. So let's say you're doing biomedical engineering research and then you work for a biomedical engineering company. There's subject matter overlap. If you have a company or you have interest in stocks and bonds that has no relationship to your research activities, that's not disclosable. So we don't care about your stocks that you have in Apple or your portfolio, as long as there's significant subject matter overlap with your research activity. So that's the type of information that we're looking for. Okay, so examples of potential conflicts of interest: an investigator's consulting relationship with his or her research sponsor, A management role or equity interest in a company that is providing service to the institution, ownership in patents and technology that is the subject of the person's research activities, or supervising students in both their university capacity and also as employees of their company. So our primary purpose is to help our students graduate and get to their degrees. So we want to make sure that that's the primary focus and that you're not putting too much emphasis on what they're doing at your company. Okay. So what are not conflicts of interest? If you're consulting consulting relationship with an organization that conducts business in an area that's not related to your research, obviously. Stocks or equity in a company that does not constitute a significant portion of the company's total holdings. So if you have $10,000 of Apple stock, that doesn't constitute a significant portion of Apple's total holdings, right? You don't have controlling equity. So that's not disclosable. Or volunteer work that's not directly related to your research activities. So how do you make your disclosure? At the beginning of the academic year, we have a call for disclosure, so we'll send out an email to everyone who is previously disclosed, and we'll ask them to submit their disclosure, and they follow a link, and they will submit their disclosure. Throughout the year, you can resubmit a disclosure by going to our webpage, and there's a link for UNM investigators, and there's also a link for non-UNM investigators. So our COI system is based off of your institutional responsibility, so everything you do on behalf of the institution, and non-UNM people don't have institutional responsibility. So their questions are a little bit different, to focus specifically on a research project rather than everything they do on behalf of the institution. Yes?
Just for main campus?
Yes, this is the process for main campus FCOI disclosure. North Campus, they still do a paper system that's per project. 3 years ago, I changed our system to go to an annual electronic version, and that's kind of like the trend in FCOI disclosure and management that I've seen, and we made the move about 3 years ago, and it's been very successful. Another thing that's not in the presentation, so if we have identified that a management plan is necessary, so you have a conflict of interest and it needs to be managed, the COI committee will develop a management plan that's specific for you, that will cover you for the year of disclosure, which is an academic year. And so any submission of projects or whatever, any awards that you receive, they would go under that management plan, and you would have a monitor that you would consult based off of the stipulations of the management plan, and then we'd get a monitor report at the end of the year and make sure that everything was cool. Any other questions?
Is that the same for North Campus as well, or they just really have their own set of?
They do implement management plans, but I believe they're specific for the protocol. They don't cover the investigator for the full year. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Just quick clarification. I've got an associate coming in on a grant application who's waiting for her letter of academic appointment.
Mm-hmm.
When she comes on board, the grant is due in June, so does she need to go ahead and file a conflict of interest before we submit the application? Or?
No, it is we have to have everyone who's on the research project by the time of award, not proposal.
Right.
So everything is award based. So if you are scrambling to get all of your proposal stuff in, because I know there's a lot of work and you might not be able to get everyone to submit for proposal. We're not worried about the proposal. We're worried when we receive the money that everyone who is listed is in compliance. Okay? Yes?
So does administration have any responsibilities in implementing these management plans, or is that just really between the PI and your office?
It really is between the PI and our office. There is, as indicated in the policy, an appeal process that would go to the provost. I've been doing FCOI management for almost 6 years, and that's never happened. So we usually try to work with our investigators to come up with a plan that doesn't impede on the research activities, but also ensures that we're in compliance with federal laws and regulations. Okay. Alrighty. Now we get to the fun stuff. Just kidding.